Hey everyone, it's Naveed here to do Real Buttons Podcast, episode 19.
19. Next one's going to be the 20th.
Almost to 20.
Which means we've been going roughly 200 days because we do these roughly every 10 days. So
that's a lot. Man, it doesn't feel like it's been that long.
I know, and we still only have like maybe 4 regular listeners. So
yeah, you know, I'll take it. But yeah, I'm here with Spencer. Obviously, not a whole lot of news for this podcast, but
there's some discussion pieces, hopefully.
Yeah, there's
for your entertainment,
and there's a couple fairly big announcements, so that'll be fun to talk about.
If you can call them that, I think the biggest announcement is the first piece of news. No,
but like always, I guess we'll start off with what we've been playing, and you can take it if you want.
Sure. So I finished Space Marine. By Relic and THQ. It's in the Warhammer 40k universe.
Third-person shooter, right?
Third-person shooter. You know, I don't know. The multiplayer is cool. The setting's cool, I guess. It could use a better color palette a little bit. But, you know, I think it was better than Gears of War, but that's not really saying much. But like they avoided having like a cover mechanic. Like they didn't want a cover mechanic because they wanted to force you out into the open. But the problem with that is that you still have to use cover to survive on like a normal difficulty at least.
Right.
And so you just end up using cover that's not really intended to be cover necessarily. And it doesn't work as well as a cover system would. So it really just feels like they were too lazy to develop a cover system.
That kind of reminds me of like Mass Effect 1. While the cover system is there, it's a really bad cover system. So I guess it might be just the way I played it, but I didn't really use cover all that often, and yeah, I kind of felt that same way for that game. So
yeah, I mean. In Space Marine, largely what it becomes about is like, you know, using your grenades and your sniper rounds and stuff like that, and trying to sort of corral them into certain spaces where the snipers can't hit you and stuff like that. But it's just like at certain points you just end up having to use cover anyways. So
yeah.
Then I played some Dawn of War, the first one, and I played some Dark Crusade because that expansion has the Tau in it, which is a army in Warhammer 40k.
Hey, you know how you're talking about making those like fake Dawn of War things? You know that new library I was talking about at my school? They have a 3D printer in there. I don't know if it costs money for us to use it or not, but it's there and we can use it. And I could make some of those figures.
Yeah, you could. I mean, if you had the you need like the blueprints for them or whatever, the little diagrams.
And then I guess they wouldn't really be colored, but anyway.
You know, I wonder what that's gonna do to like their business model, like those little board games. Like I mean, because if the diagrams got out or whatever.
How many people have access to a 3D printer really right
now?
Dude,
in the next 10 years, give me a break. Sure. That technology is going to definitely be available.
Yeah, but right now it's not.
Use.
Right now it's pretty expensive, and yeah, it's just our fucking library is amazing. But anyway, go ahead with what you were saying.
Well, anyways, so Dawn of War, it's an RTS, the first one, pretty standard. You got your base management and all that stuff that I don't like. Not much to say there. I mean, it's solid for what it is, but it just feels like any other RTS. Like there's nothing that really differentiates it other than the setting, I guess. So whatever. I liked playing as the Tau though, and then I played some Torchlight 2 with Phil. And Torchlight 2 is hella good. Playing as an engineer, I don't know, I do have my problems with it.
That was second, number 2 on your list?
That was number 2 on my game of the year, yeah.
Yeah.
Number 1 was Binary Domain, but it's not to say I don't have problems with it. Like I do have some problems with it. Like sometimes you'll just die before you could even hit the health potion hotkey. So it's like because and like it's like it just doesn't feel super well balanced sometimes when you get into these conflicts. Whereas something like Titan Quest, like that never happens in Titan Quest. You always have time to hit for a health potion. Like the combat in Titan Quest always feels fair. I mean, in Torchlight 2, there can be literally times where you die in like the blink of an eye, and particularly for the melee classes more so than the ranged ones. But yeah. And then Dawn of War 2, been playing some of that. Not really though. I haven't been playing I don't think I played any games this past week, but since it's been a while since we did the cast, I did play these like last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Dawn of War 2, man, that is a hell of a good game, but it's getting kind of challenging. You really got to pay attention and micromanage your squads because the enemies just progressively get a little bit harder, and once you stop dealing with orcs and you start dealing with like the Tyranid and the Eldar, you actually have to use you have to use your frag grenades, you have to use all your special skills that each squad has to really play effectively.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it for me.
All right, for me, I got a few new games. I actually probably got more games than I listed. I don't remember anything. Like, I don't remember the games that I haven't listed that I probably got. But anyway, I went to pick up Infinite Space from GameStop because there was a GameStop around me that had it for $15, and it goes for like $30 to $40 on eBay still. So I wanted to go pick that up. I haven't played any of it at all, so not much to say about it other than I got it. And I got Spec Ops: The Line for free from Amazon because I had a voucher, I guess, from buying a previous game as well as a gift card from Bing. And I played a little bit of Spec Ops. I think it's pretty good so far. I mean, it's a typical third-person shooter, but
the story and the presentation are what's supposed to take off.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to get to at some soon enough. I haven't played it since I first started. I played maybe about an hour or so, and I thought it was fairly decent for what it was at the beginning. At the beginning they speak Farsi, so I was kind of like, huh, that's interesting. The enemies do so, but my friend's
very interested in this because he's a terrorist.
Because the terrorists spoke Farsi, and I was like, that's great.
Brothers. No.
Except it kind of doesn't make sense because it's in Dubai. I mean, there are obviously Farsi-speaking people that go there, but that's not their main language over in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates.
I don't know what
Arabic.
Oh yeah, that would make sense because it's called the United Arab Emirates.
I mean, it's not out of the question that there'd be somebody speaking Farsi over there, but yeah.
Well, isn't the UAE kind of like at least somewhat multicultural?
Yeah, it's definitely a tourist spot as well. A bunch of Iranians do go there for some kind of vacation or something.
Well, it's kind of, from my understanding, it's like the Las Vegas of the Middle East.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I've never been there, but what I've seen of it, it's a pretty huge city and whatnot. But yeah, Spec Ops, hoping to get to that crazy story part that everyone talks about. And then I picked up Code of Princess for the 3DS, which is basically the spiritual successor to Guardian Heroes. It's definitely good, but it's not that great, honestly, compared to Guardian Heroes. I haven't played Guardian Heroes myself, but I wouldn't imagine this game to be anywhere near the level of Guardian Heroes. The really disappointing thing about the game is in 3D, the frame rate drops substantially. It drops to 20 or below FPS, so I have to play the game in 2D basically the whole time. At 2D, it pretty much keeps a steady frame rate, and yeah, that's disappointing because the game looks really nice in 3D too because it has the 3-plane aspect like Guardian Heroes does, so it's kind of interesting to play that in 3D, but it's really not possible. The graphics are kind of weird though, because it's kind of got that Bastion thing where everything is 2D, but the character models are all polygonal.
And then they try to make them look 2D.
Yeah, and it kind of does look 2D, but it's just kind of looks out of place. So
yeah, Bastion does that, and it looks really tacky.
Yeah, it really looks weird. But surprisingly, there's full voice acting in the game, which I didn't expect. I expected either Japanese voiceovers or just text. So. That was a kind of good surprise, but it's a decent game for what it is. I played some Zombie U multiplayer with my friends as well. I'm not sure how much I talked about the multiplayer of Zombie U when I first talked about it. Do you remember if I talked about the multiplayer at all? No. Well, the multiplayer is really good in Zombie U. We played this for a few hours at least, and so what's really cool about it is the person using the gamepad is basically the king of zombies, and that mode is kind of like a strategy game in and of itself, because it's like what you do is place zombies. You have a top-down view of the map, and you can see where everything is. So you can place zombies down. And the mode we played the most was like a capture the flag mode almost, but it's kind of like King of the Hill because you have to stay in the flag area to capture it. You don't actually like capture the flag and take it somewhere else. It's just try to stay in one area for a certain amount of time. So what the person with the gamepad can do is spawn different types of zombies, a few that like will go after the player who's trying to capture the flag, and like other ones that will actually just stay where they are until the player walks into their vicinity, and then they'll start going after them. So that becomes kind of like a surprise tactic thing. And then they also have zombies that will go for the flag. So each person has to actually get the flag. It's not just the player on the ground or playing like the first-person shooter game that has to go for the flag. The King of Zombies also has to go get him with the zombies that go for the flag that he spawns. And then you level up and everything, and you get all these different types of zombies, like a spitter that's kind of like from Left 4 Dead, and armored zombies and stuff like that. So it's really fun, and it's really strategic for both players, because you can set up, like, you can go get a turret or something somewhere in the level, and you can set it up in a place where it might be good for the King of Zombies to spawn. So that's like one of the games that really makes great use of the gamepad, and really that's a game that definitely could not be done on any other system right now, unless you use like the Vita to PS3 thing. So really disappointing that doesn't have online. Hopefully they can add that for a sequel if there is a sequel. But the Zombie multiplayer is pretty darn fun, and there are a couple other modes, but they aren't as fun as the capture the flag mode. And finally, I picked up Anarchy Reigns, so now I still have every single Platinum Games title that's been released so far. I'm really enjoying it so far. There's a couple.
Whoa! Wait! Can you repeat that for a second? Missed that. Can you repeat it?
I am liking Anarchy Reigns a lot.
Oh, snap. Listen, folks, this punk bitch here tried to talk shit about this game for months. Months! And I was like, no, bro, you don't know what you're talking about. Anarchy Reigns is going to be a good game. And look who's right. Me.
Fuck you.
Anyways, folks, another victory for me. Chalk it up and keep track. I hope you've been running your tally. But anyways,
what is that, like 1 to 10 now in my favor?
1 to zip in my favor.
We're gonna start now. Start now, keeping the tally.
Well, hey, I don't know. You were wrong about the gaming recession / crash too. So
I called it a decline. It's not a crash. I'm not wrong.
It's a crash. It is a crash. When you lose as many publishers and developers as we have in this generation, I'm sorry, it is a flat out crash.
Decline. Anyway,
crash.
Anarchy Reigns. Yeah, like I said, I really like it, and you know, it has a lot of problems, but I can kind of get past those facts because it's like a $30 game, and they released it at $30. But first, I guess I like it a lot more than Mad World. Mad World was good, but I personally wasn't a huge fan of it. But Anarchy Reigns, the multiplayer really makes the game. The single player is okay. There's some funny sequences and stuff, but it's nothing that you really don't want to buy the game for single player, I don't think. But the multiplayer is really fun, and that's where the problems come in. It's really disappointing because trying to find a game in Anarchy Reigns takes a ridiculously long time, at least from my experience. You're going to have problems, like it's going to have problems failing, like failing to find a match, and then half the time it'll put you into a lobby that's already full, and then other times you'll go into a lobby which has like 5 or 6 players out of 8, let's say, and it'll take forever to find an extra 2 players or something to actually start the game up. And then it's like you got 7 players, and the 8th one comes in, and the timer starts. So the timer is set at 50 seconds for everyone to get ready. And you can, like, all the players can say they're ready, and that timer will automatically go down to 10 seconds. But, like, there's always one person that doesn't get ready. And so we're just waiting for this 50-second timer to go down. And then somebody quits or leaves the lobby or something, so you got to wait again. And I just don't understand why there couldn't have been some kind of system that, you know, they could have made so you could start the game with like 6 or 7 players, maybe add some kind of computer into the game until maybe another player pops in later. Because if someone quits during a match, they'll actually put in a computer character. So I don't understand why they couldn't have done that from the beginning. But anyway, like once you get into a match, you're pretty good because you can just keep playing with that same group of players. And once you do get into a match, it's really fun. So it's basically like an online battle arena. There's a lot of like random shit that happens that kind of reminds me of. I haven't really played Power Stone, but I've seen videos, and like, aren't there like random sequences that happen in Power Stone?
Random sequences that happen in Power? Not really, no. You mean in terms of the diamonds that
like
show up, or
environmental stuff?
No, they happen at like they're scripted, so like they just happen.
Yeah,
throughout.
But that's like environmental stuff, right?
Yeah, it has environmental changes.
Yeah, so that's what happens in Anarchy Reigns. So like, while you're fighting, just like this is one of the best examples. While you're fighting in this one stage, it'll just like come up with this like horn, like warning horn, and you'll just see it like an animation of a kraken just spawning onto the level. And this is something you can actually go and fight. Like you can go fight this kraken and rack up points. Like you don't have to go kill the other players to rack up points.
Did you get the Bayonetta DLC, or did you not?
No, I never pre-ordered it, and I'm really kind of pissed. I'm pissed about that.
No, you should, because that's kind of bullshit. But
it's
you still
really,
bought it day 1.
Yeah, it's actually day 2.
Oh well, then you didn't deserve the DLC. Fuck you.
But yeah, I'm not really good at the game, but today I played one match today. Like,
what fighting game are you good at?
It's not a fighting game.
It's a brawler, whatever. What games are you good at
I'm good at Mortal Kombat.
What games are you good at that involve fists hitting things? What games? Name the game.
Mortal Kombat 9.
All right, Mortal Kombat 9. So he's got one, and it's a nub fighter.
It's a pretty good fighter.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it's a nub fighter.
The character I play is a nub fighter, but I don't think it's a nub fighter.
And historically, to be fair, Mortal Kombat has sucked ass.
Not this one.
No, the new one is different. I'm just saying historically. But even the new one has shit character designs. You got to give me that at least.
There's some characters I like, but yeah, overall, like
it's like they called up Rareware's art department and were like, "Hey, remember all those like freaking canceled character designs for Killer Instinct? Pass them over." Except for the fact that Mortal Kombat came out before Killer Instinct, and Killer Instinct is largely inspired by Mortal Kombat. But let's ignore that for the sake of argument.
How can you anyway? Okay, yeah, I guess I really like Anarchy Reigns. There's a bunch of characters you have to unlock and stuff. Did I say I was going to say this before someone interrupted me? I think I won my first match today during that one game I played. And it was actually the first time I ever played the regular deathmatch mode, which is just 4 players, free for all, and I won that. Usually I played team deathmatch, which I do awful in, so maybe that's why. Maybe I had to play more deathmatch, but there's like 10 game modes, maybe. It's around 10, I think, game modes, and
our listeners will be excited because I've got confirmation of an Anarchy Reigns free-to-play PC port.
From you?
Yeah, that's not real. That's not happening. Sorry, everybody. I really wanted it to be on PC, but
Oh, that's too bad.
It's not happening.
Just go enter that contest. There's some NeoGAF contest for someone giving away a PS3 one.
I don't want to play it on consoles.
You should, and then you should.
Dude, give me that. But tell me, am I wrong or am I right? That game would fit on like as a free-to-play PC model way better, right? Right.
I don't.
Like it would actually probably make some money.
I don't know how you'd make that free. I mean, you'd have to. I guess you'd have to make the game modes.
Dude, you could sell the costumes for those characters, and you could sell characters.
But there's no costumes in the game.
Right, you would add costumes.
That's not what it was designed for since the beginning. If you
give me a break, it's got those two girls with the giant boobs. The costumes for those types of characters always sell great.
If you did that could be a good model, but
I'm telling you right now, everybody, the game as it is right now, that game's not going to make any money.
It was actually sold out at my GameStop. I got the second to last.
Anything.
I got the second to last PS3 copy.
That does not mean squat.
It means the initial shipment at least sold decently.
No, because usually like GameStop orders however many of like on a niche game, they usually don't order that many extra beyond pre-orders.
I know that, but like they had, when I checked the day before, there was it usually has like low stock by it if it's actually low on stock, and it didn't have that. So I don't know. I don't know. Anyway,
well, Naveed's the GameStop specialist because I don't like it. So
I only go there when there's a used game, or they only carry, like, they're the only ones that'll carry a niche game. Like, I don't know where else will carry Anarchy Reigns other than
Toys R Us usually has
Amazon.
Stuff like
that. I didn't check Toys R Us, but I know Best Buy only had it to like ship to store, so I'd have to wait a few days.
Toys R Us actually has a pretty decent game aisle. At least they used to when I was a console gamer.
Kmart surprisingly has stuff.
That doesn't surprise me because Kmart actually has always had a game aisle.
Nobody goes to Kmart, so you can find a bunch of games there. But yeah, I'm also really disappointed there's no local multiplayer.
That's something. Yeah, I agree with you. Like that was something I always knew was kind of a misstep.
But like that's what a lot of online related games these days don't have a local multiplayer,
which is a bad move. I mean, because the thing is, like on PC, if you're not a free to play, if you're a multiplayer centric game and you're not free to play, chances are you're gonna fail. Like, I mean, there's just no two ways about it. There's occasionally you get something like natural selection too, but it's like it has to be something that has somehow garnered a ton of publicity. It has to be from like a major developer. Like even stuff like Brink was a failure. I mean, and there was a big marketing push behind that game on PC at least.
Yeah, well, that just flopped.
So I mean, but I mean what was that one that THQ made based on NextWiz or NextY? I don't know how to pronounce. Yeah, Nexus. They called it something else though.
I don't know.
Whatever they called it. Anyways, the point is that it didn't work out so great, basically.
But it is a super low budget game, and you can tell because it's.
Oh, they did call it Nexus in 2012.
I meant Anarchy Reigns.
I'm talking about this.
Okay.
But they did price it down to like $1.99 at one point, but it's still just like nobody plays it because it's like a really slow-paced arena shooter.
Yeah, you hated it, I thought.
Yeah, I did hate it. Because there was like a free-to-play weekend on Steam, and I was like, "Oh, I'll check it out," because it's I played the open source version back in the day, and it was like way slower. They had consoleized it, like it wasn't an arena shooter anymore. Like the original was like a cel-shaded sort of like Neo Tokyo-esque cyberpunk thing going on. That was like sort of like Quake. Gameplay, and then like this one was like it looked great, it was gorgeous, but it was like super like you ran at like Halo Master Chief speeds, which there's nothing wrong with that for that type of game.
Yeah.
But arena shooters don't work on dual analog. They simply don't. It's just too fast paced for analog. So like I mean like it just breaks that type of game. And so they slowed it down, and I was unhappy.
I could see why you would be.
But anyways, it was disingenuous to the original game, and it didn't sell very well, I don't think, because THQ was like cutting it down to like $1. I think it was 99 cents on the last Amazon Christmas sale. But anyways,
yep.
Yeah.
Basically, go pick up Anarchy Reigns. I think
Yeah.
if you like beat 'em ups,
like me, you can just write Sega tweet and be like, hey.
Get it on PC.
Yeah, I'm writing the tweet right now.
Yeah, like there's some things that disappoint me about the game, like the online stuff, but overall it's really fun, and like the graphics are pretty ugly for what they are. Obviously it's low budget.
Right. So I just wrote them a tweet. So if we can get like 2 more people to write a similar tweet, I'm pretty sure that's like beyond Sega's like business threshold, so they will make the port.
Good on you.
Because like Sega games typically sell between 3 and 5 units, so if 3 people request the port,
that's a huge hit right there. You know, really shows how great the PC market is. It'll get 3/5 of their sales right there on the PC market.
So if we could just get 3 people to confirm that they will indeed be playing the game, then Sega will make the port.
That might be the reason why it's so hard to find a game online. Only 5 people playing.
Only 5 people bought the game.
Yeah.
And they were each in different territories, so you have to like stay up till until like it's like 1 in the afternoon in Russia.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Okay, folks, time for news. Do we have any rumors? I feel like there was some rumor this week that we're forgetting.
Probably.
There was some 720 specs rumors, but we aren't really reporting on those anymore because they're just kind of there's so many specification rumors on consoles. We may as well just wait until
there's a rumor for Dead Rising 3.
Yeah, there was that, but I mean
yeah, Dead Rising 3 is almost a given.
Yeah, Dead Rising 3 is a given because the first 2 were a success. But so there you go, folks. Dead Rising 3 is happening. You heard it here first. No, but like there was an Xbox 720 specification rumor, and I think there was a PS3 specification rumor, but we aren't really reporting on these anymore. And I just want to let everybody know why. If we reported on these rumors, there'd be one every single episode for basically PS4 or 720. And so we may as well just wait until we have something from a reliable source or something of that nature. And to be honest with you, we kind of already have a good idea of what the specs are going to be anyways, and each rumor we see from here on out is roughly in the neighborhood of what we kind of think it is, me and Naveed.
Mm-hmm.
We know it's going to be on, I think, the AMD A10 APU base. I think that's what we're looking at.
At least for PS3. It's
for PS4, but yeah, I think I think 720 is on the same thing. So it's like,
and they're both seemingly based on like the 8800 series or something,
which is basically I think rebranded 7000 series.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if we see anything really definitive, we'll report it to you guys. But as it is, we're kind of gonna ignore that shit because it's boring and monotonous.
E3 is in 5 months, guys.
Oh yeah, and Microsoft has if you go to Major Nelson's blog, he's got a big ol' countdown from a generic web page.
And it's like a shitty countdown too. It's not even like a super sparkly countdown.
It's like those countdowns you can go to a web page and then put in a date.
And he didn't even pick one of like the sparkly ones. It's just like gray.
Yeah, it's just black or gray. But you know what, guys? That sort of excitement and enthusiasm about E3 is what we've come to expect from Microsoft about video game trade shows. No doubt about it, they're going to be #1 this E3.
Microsoft has been killing it with their conferences the past few years.
No, yeah, dude. When they roll out those generic countdown clocks, you know that shit is hitting the fan over at Sony Computer Entertainment. Like they everything is there's shit being thrown out of windows. People are jumping off the top of the building. there's people who can't stop puking on the
fire
floor.
In their headquarters.
Yeah, I mean there's literally a birth taking place on every single floor in the entire building. I mean that's the kind of panic state that these people go into. when that Major Nelson countdown flash clock gets posted.
Yeah. Now Sony's like fucking dying. They don't know what to do.
They're gonna discontinue the PS3. I already know. I mean, it's just. Anyways, it's not good news, folks, for Sony Computer Entertainment this E3 because Major Nelson means business when he busts out that flash clock. Anyways, all right. So our first piece of news is that Death Inc. was announced. This is, I think, a PC exclusive.
It has nothing to do with the Death games from Sony or the
Death Junior. And those weren't made by Sony. They were made by
on Sony systems.
They were published by Konami, and I actually forget the developer of the Death Junior games. They went out of business. I remember that. Who did the? Now I gotta look it up.
I think the first one was Death, and the PSP one was Death Junior.
No, Death Junior. It was Backbone Entertainment, and they were Canadian, and they did some work with Sega actually.
Were they both on PSP?
No, there was. I think there was like a. Let's see here. Fine.
Death Junior 2. Yeah, they were both on PSP. Huh? I could have sworn there was one before the PSP. Huh,
no, there was 3. There was Death Junior, Death Junior 2, and Death Junior in the Science Fair of Doom, and that was on DS.
Really? There was a DS one?
Yes.
Huh.
Oh, and there was one on Wii.
No wonder they went out of business.
Oh, but the one on Wii was just a port of the PSP version. It was just an okay. Anyways, that was during that weird period. Do you remember that weird period where games were coming out on both PSP and Wii?
Yeah.
That was that was a weird period. But anyways, so this game that's been announced actually looks like artistically it looks really cool. There's a screenshot on Rock Paper Shotgun. I don't know if Naveed looked at it.
Yeah, I did.
It's got sort of this pop pastel style. But the reason the game is making news on our podcast is where the developers are from. There's like some real primo talent behind this game. You play as a Reaper in a cartoon 17th century, and your job is to harvest people. But basically, let's see who's developing it. They're called Ambient Studios, and all of the developers there, as far as we know, are from Lionhead, Media Molecule, and Criterion.
Big names.
Big names. And so clearly we have an experienced team. They're working on a new indie IP. The graphic style looks cool. The setting and has a lot of potential in terms of gameplay. We don't really know what type of game it's going to be. It's going to be they say it's going to be a strategy game, but they say it's going to be streamlined with like no micromanagement or complex menus.
Basically, like the only info we have is that your job is to harvest people.
Right, that's all we know, and it's a strategy game of some type. So, we'll keep our eyes on it because it looks really cool, and the developers behind it are good. So,
yep,
that's basically that.
So, pretty big piece of news here. Nintendo is hyping this up for a few days before they announced it, and they announced Pokemon X and Y for the 3DS. 3DS is gonna make some bank this holiday season. So the big news about this game, other than the fact that it's now in 3D, 3 dimensions, and I don't know what else is different, but it's going to be coming out worldwide in October 2013. That's a first for the Pokemon series. It's going to be a worldwide release. Usually it's staggered, like Japan gets it, and then... I'm not talking. Yeah, usually Japan gets it, and then US probably, and then Europe, I don't know. But they showed off a trailer, and it was basically they showed off the new starters, which the water Pokemon looks like the best starter, once again, as always.
I don't know. I mean, in the Red, I was the biggest fan of Charizard. Charmander.
Everyone is, but Squirtle is the best one. Squirtle is the best Pokemon ever. So, everybody.
What I remember was that supposedly the one that people were really freaking out about with these new starters or whatever.
The Fox thing.
Yeah, the Fox.
The Firefox. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't like that's like my least favorite. I like the frog, and then I like the little Like,
you know what I don't like about the
whatever
fox?
thing?
I'm looking at a picture of him now. He's got like that old man thing where there's a bunch of hair coming out of his ears.
Yeah, it's actually based on a real fox. Like I looked up the actual fox, and the actual fox has like really giant ears as well, but I don't think it had that much hair coming out of its ears.
I gotta say, all of these designs suck, dude. I'm sorry. Even the water one.
The water one's the best.
I like the green one.
I kind of do like the legend.
them.
I like the legendary bird Pokemon though. That red one. I think it looks kind of cool. And you know, if you get the Y version, you're a girl. The X version. Sorry, guys have XY chromosomes, right?
Yeah, we do. But well, wait a minute. Yeah, we have XY, but the girls have double X, don't they?
Yeah.
So wouldn't you want to get? Oh wait, yeah, you're saying if you get Y. Okay, I got what you're saying now. All right, sorry. you went into a genetics discussion without warning me.
Yeah.
Right. No, but I don't know. I kind of like the elk or whatever it is on the right that I'm looking at.
Oh really? Like the deer thing?
I don't know. Yeah, the deer. Sure.
They're both like. Yeah, I don't know. They're both kind of.
The red one, the red bird, he has really stupid hands.
Okay, and he's got 3 of them apparently.
Yeah, he does. He's got
tail
3
looks
hands.
like a hand. That's a tail, but it looks like a hand.
It does. You know, isn't they all? I don't know. I think I like the one with the sort of the one that looks like Ultraman or whatever from
Antlers.
Yeah, the one. He looks like he'd be in a Power Rangers show.
Sure. Okay. And then, you know, you'll attack
What
him.
What are the names of the 3 starters?
Chespin is the grass Pokemon. Froakie is the water Pokemon because it's a toad. And then the fox fire Pokemon is Fennekin. And then
wow,
the Dutch
really lazy.
The Dutch names are way cooler for the Pokemon. Like the fire Pokemon in like I don't know why the Dutch names are always cooler, it seems. I'm trying to find it. Yeah, the Dutch name for the fire Pokemon is Finks.
That's cool.
Which kind of sounds cool. And the name for the grass Pokemon is Igamaro. That just sounds cool. And then Froxy for the frog Pokemon.
You know, I'm looking at screenshots, and the streets in this one where there's like an Eiffel Tower, it looks really dead. They need to work on some NPCs for that area.
That's true. What? That's weird. They have the ones.
Yeah, there's like one where it shows a bunch of NPCs, and then this other one where it's just like a big empty street.
Yeah, what's up with that?
And what's that chipmunk one right down there in the bottom right there?
The bottom right? That's the other starter. That's the
whatever.
That's the grass Pokemon. Chespin.
Well, he looks like an asshole.
He looks cooler than the fire Pokemon.
They've gotten really lazy. These designs kind of suck.
They ran out of puns, man. The puns in first generation were great.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Anyways,
this is just sort of something we got to mention, I guess. It's nothing huge. Nintendo's releasing the Fire Emblem Awakening 3DS bundle for North America. It's kind of interesting because Nintendo never releases these like special edition 3DSs in America. It's usually only in Japan, but they're releasing this one, and it's the original 3DS, so it's worthless. That's it.
All right. So CD Projekt Red is most likely to announce Witcher 3.
Speculating. Yeah.
This is speculation. Is most likely to announce that Witcher 3 on February 5th.
Some game is going to be announced. We know that, but it's most likely Witcher 3.
It's most likely Witcher 3 because I doubt they're working on a new IP because they've already got a new IP in development in Cyberpunk 2077.
And this was basically like secretly announced in their Cyberpunk 2077 trailer. Like at the end of the trailer, there's like a flash of text, and if you pause it at that one direct moment, it basically says Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out 2015, and then there's going to be a new announcement for a game on February 5th. So.
God, I can't believe we've got to wait till 2015 for that game.
Yeah, I mean they've stated like
Oh.
that game is not very far in development compared to something like.
Yeah, but you know what makes me angry is they announced it too soon.
That's true. Like it's
like I hate it when developers do this when they announce the game way far out, and
like
it's
that.
Like you have to wait like half a fucking decade.
It's like that one game that I'm not sure who it was, but they announced it for like Ouya and stuff. Like there was like one of the first big announcements.
Yeah, I remember, and
it's like 2015.
And it was they announced it in mid 2012, so it's like 3 years out. So it's like, and I'm not saying but I mean it's just like, and same with Cyberpunk 2077. So it's coming out in 2015, but they announced it in 2012.
Right.
It's there was a studio, I forget the name now, but the guys who did I don't even remember the name of the freaking game, but they announced this PC first-person shooter, and it was for a bunch of like people from People Can Fly, I think.
Yeah.
And they announced this first-person shooter, and then it launched like less than 2 months later. I want to see more of that. I want to see more of announce the game less than 6 months before it comes out.
And then, well, that's something Nintendo does, and I kind of think they wait too long to announce some of their stuff. But
I don't. Well, here's the deal.
Well, at least right now, because there's such a
Well, they need to announce stuff right now. Yeah, well, they need to, because it doesn't look like anything's coming, and so when people see that nothing's coming, they're not going to buy the system unless that there's So I mean, it's a little bit different for Nintendo because they're a first party and they need to sell consoles. But with a third party, what I want is excitement, and it's really hard for me to maintain excitement when you announce your game and then it takes 2 years to get here.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have 2 years here of trailers and stuff before the game, more than 2 years before the game ever comes out.
Yeah, so it's like you need to get your shit together and work out a timeline, because it's like.
But at least we know it's going to be like next gen quality, for sure.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, in terms of what they're saying about Cyberpunk 2077. And we should mention this because this conference happened with it where they had the CGI trailer and all that stuff. And they released that CGI trailer. What they're saying is that that's their actual target. That CGI trailer that they released they're saying that's their actual target for how the game will look real time.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I actually do, though, because I don't know. You haven't seen Witcher 2 on Ultra and all that shit, but like CD Projekt Red is one of. But what's that game? Frickin' the Squad 1 or whatever, the Squad 41 or Squad 42 that Space Sim. You remember what we reported on in the past?
Yeah, I forgot.
Squadron 42, I think it was.
But they wouldn't be able to keep that up real time in some kind of RPG. It's an open world game.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, in Space Sim, it's a little bit easier because you just have to make the ships and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll definitely look nice, but I don't think it'll be anywhere near the level of CG.
Well, it's not going to be that nice, but I think that it could be within the realm of that. I mean, and the other thing you got to think of is that CD Projekt Red, their development costs for Witcher 2 were under 20 million, I think. It was wasn't it 12 million or 15 million or something like that for that game?
I don't know exactly, but well, I mean, the fact that they're developing specifically for PCs too also helps.
Well, nobody really makes software that takes advantage of PC anymore. I mean, very few at least.
I have a feeling that they'd be also trying to make this for next-gen consoles as well. That would work for next-gen consoles, and they know.
Well, they would probably just be able to dumb it down, I would imagine, because the thing about it is they're probably just going to support, I would imagine, a wide range of system settings for PC, and then they'll just, like they did with Witcher 2, they'll just take, whatever low is on PC and then try to port that over and then dumb it down as they must for Xbox 360 or 720 or whatever.
Apparently the 360 version of that game was surprisingly great looking.
They used some tricks and stuff like that to I followed the development of the 360 version, but yeah, they from my understanding, they basically took Witcher 2 on on some medium settings and low settings, and then they ported it over and brought over what they could keep, and then dropped the frame rate a ton, and then resolution.
I see.
So yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, yeah.
All right.
So,
look out for an announcement coming.
Yeah, look out for
February 5th.
announcements, and it's not going to matter because you're not going to see it till like 2017. So maybe it would be better for you to ignore whether or not it's announced.
Yeah,
because you're just going to do a whole lot of waiting.
If it's Witcher 3, it's coming out earlier than 2077. So.
Really? No way. Witcher. If it's Witcher 3, it is not coming out earlier than 2077.
They have gone on record and said the Witcher 3 is farther in development than 2077.
Fine.
Yep. So next piece of news. I'm pretty sure we reported on this rumor, right? About Resident Evil Revelations.
Yeah, we did. We did report it on that.
So. We reported on this, and it was a rumor that it was coming out for consoles, the 3DS Resident Evil game, the good Resident Evil game that came out last year. And now we have more truth to that rumor, and it seems like it's going to happen because it's basically some Xbox 360 achievements were revealed or leaked or something for Resident Evil Revelations Unveiled Edition, and yeah, it looks like the game's coming to consoles. I'm pretty sure that it would come to PS3 as well. No reason they'd keep it a 360
well,
exclusive.
I'd really like to see it on PC too, and I think that we may see it on PC.
Most Resident Evil games have come to PC in the past.
I mean, there's RE5, RE4,
RE6 is eventually coming. It hasn't been released yet.
Raccoon City came to PC, so
that one. Yeah, that one nobody should speak of. But
oh no, you didn't. That's my favorite game in the series.
Oh no way! Oh, did you like that shooting of the zombies in the third persons and the actions?
And no, so I remembered, and nobody's gonna believe me now because I've had time to Google it. But I swear to God, I remembered it partially. So, the developer who made that PC first-person shooter that I was talking about. That they announced it like 2 months and then it came out, and it was actually less than 2 months. I thought it was Wild Flying Hog, but it's Flying Wild Hog. I was close. But anyways, they made Hard Reset. Do you remember Hard Reset?
Yeah, no, I know
that game was
Reset.
fucking nuts looking.
Yeah,
but yeah,
totally. But yeah, I might double dip on this Resident Evil Revelations depending on the price because. If you saw my Game of the Year video, it was one of my top 10 games of last year. So it was a good Resident Evil game, unlike the other Resident Evils that came out this year.
I was reading like in the thread on NeoGAF, and a lot of people said that it was kind of brainless. But
isn't that what all Resident Evil games are now?
I don't know, but they just said that it wasn't a very good that it was better than the other Resident Evils, but that it still wasn't a very great game.
There was portions of that game that. In the ship, those portions of the game were fantastic, and then there was portions outside of the ship where it's a little more action heavy, but it's still not as action heavy as like Resident Evil 6 or something. Like you feel like you're in danger with only a few enemies. Like it feels a lot more survival horror than any of the Resident Evil games that have come out recently. So
I probably wouldn't get it even if it did come out.
That's what I liked.
So it doesn't really matter.
So that's that. Microsoft during CES showed off. This was also like a patent or something that they had shown off before. I don't know if we reported on it or not, but they showed off this Illumi Room concept. So basically, what it is you're playing this game, and basically all around you, there's going to be a projection of. I guess other images of like what's going on in the game. Like you see a building in the TV screen. I guess the building could be projected upwards in around your room. So this is it looks kind of neat in the thing, but I don't know. It's kind of useless as well. I don't know how they'd really take advantage of anything like that. I think one thing that would be cool is if they had some kind of like survival horror game, and you could actually see different characters coming in from the set, like in your peripheral vision.
I could see this being a big deal for like a Kinect 2 or something.
Yeah, for sure. With Kinect, that you could interact with stuff all around the room instead of just the TV screen. That would be cool. I mean, it definitely looks like a cool concept. I'm not sure if they're probably going to add it to the 720. You think?
I think that it would be like an add-on. I don't think it's ready quite yet.
Okay.
But I could, dude, give me a break. They're definitely going to do something with this with the Xbox line. If it gets, if they can get it working well, then they're definitely, and get it cheap, then yeah.
What I'm wondering is like you're going to have to, aren't developers going to have to be like rendering everything for this to work? Like it's going to have to be rendering stuff to be projecting the images.
Yeah, but I mean, I imagine what they could do is because like what I saw was in the concept video, isn't like everything outside around it or whatever like black and white or something or
yeah,
sort of grainy. Like so I mean, what they could do is they could render it in like a really low resolution because it's already going to be grainy.
That's true.
So I don't know. That's an idea.
Yeah, but it does seem neat. There actually.
And the other thing is, I mean, at this point, what we kind of already figured out is that the audience doesn't really give too much of a shit about graphics anymore. Like the general audience of like, and that's the market that Microsoft tries to appeal to, is no longer really pulled in by amazing visuals. Like they've visuals have reached a point where the general audience is okay with them.
Yeah.
So in next-gen consoles, they could afford to take a hit for adding this Illuma concept.
I'm actually watching some of this this teaser again, and I mean, it's kind of cool with like stars all around you and stuff. That's actually neat, and it's actually.
All I know is that if Nintendo had come up with it, everybody would be shitting bricks. it'd be the biggest innovation since Nintendo reintroduced the analog on the N64. A lot of people, I mean, yeah.
Everything actually is in color, it seems like, in this trailer. But it's kind of jarring.
What's something Nintendo invented? I'm trying to think of a better comparison than reintroducing the analog.
Didn't you say they didn't do anything? Like
I'm trying to think. Well, they didn't invent the D-pad. That's a misconception. It was actually, I believe, Mattel. But it was like Mattel, the way when they invented the D-pad, it was like for, like their handheld games?
Yeah.
They had a little handheld system.
Football games and stuff.
Well, they had a little handheld system for like 1 year, and you changed out the cartridges, and the cartridges had the controls on it. Oh. And only one of the games on the system, there was like 8 games, and only one of the games had the D-pad on it. But that was the first time a D-pad, as we know it today, as in something where it just had the 4 cardinal directions, and it had digital input. That was the first time we had ever a D-pad as we know it today was used in gaming. But let's see, there's the analog, but that was on the Vectrix or whatever first, and then
how about shoulder buttons? I'm not sure. I don't know. There's
shoulder buttons.
Something.
Shoulder buttons is arguable. Yeah, I would say shoulder buttons is probably the most likely. So yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of. I've been watching this trailer thing again. It seems. They show off like an example for a first-person shooter, and it seems kind of jarring that for that concept because all you see is the gun and there's no projection below you of anything. So that's kind of jarring, but everything else seems kind of interesting.
I would say it's an obvious improvement. I mean, there's room for improvement on that concept itself. But I mean, being able to see a full 360 degrees is better than, say, the 70 degrees that we typically get to see.
Yeah, and like seeing what kind of impact it can have in games, we still have to see. But if there can be some kind of,
I think the idea is a lot cooler than any idea that the gaming industry has come up with in terms of motion gaming. I think that's a way cooler idea than motion gaming. So
motion gaming was basically a fad.
It was a dud, really. But I mean, it was. I mean, like I don't know. In terms of like major ideas that I've seen them try to push, Wonderbook, cameras that you can interact with, controllers that detect your movement. That's the coolest idea that I think would actually change gameplay. Mm-hmm. So, and 3D gaming, I think this would be better than 3D gaming. So it's like, but I mean, yet again,
3D
it comes down to execution.
Yeah,
it comes down to execution, and this if in my mind, what I'm imagining is something that's rather flawless in terms of it doesn't have any major lag. It still has solid graphics and performance, and there's no major frame drops while the system's doing it, which would largely be up to software developers. But I mean, like I said, I just think it's a cooler idea than any major idea that I've seen the gaming industry push forward.
And like I said, I feel like it could really, really change the atmosphere up in some kind of like survival horror game. Like it could
well,
really
it would
make
also.
something.
I just think in any game it would be a more immersive. I think.
For sure. Yeah. But
I mean, can you dude, think about like a racing game, and you could just stick a card, you could just stick your chair down, and you could look, instead of moving the camera in the game, you just rotated your head or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I mean, so it's just like you could just see whichever way you wanted. You could see out your right side window, you could see out your left side window. Something like that is way cooler than some stupid fucking camera that I wave my hands in front of. I don't want to do that. I just want to. But if you could make it, because this is kind of. But I will say this to me, I think this is a kind of a limited concept because I mean we're kind of seeing, in terms of how long it would be around, maybe because you'd kind of have to have a good setup for it in a room.
Exactly, and like how are you gonna project stuff all around the room? Is there going to be some kind of like dome type projector?
Yeah, they're going to figure that out. I imagine they've already got a design for that. But the
if it's behind,
but what we've seen, like what John Carmack is working on, is a lot more maybe realistic. The
VR helmet,
the VR helmet that John Carmack is working on.
Yeah.
And the trouble he's having right now is getting the lag down. But I think if he can get the lag down, then I think because that you don't need some special room. You can just put on the helmet and you can see, it detects which direction your head is facing.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I'll say though is he would have to use some of I know they have it now, but I don't know how expensive it is.
Is the John Carmack thing the same as Oculus Rift, or is that a separate thing?
He's working on his own thing.
Okay.
And his is the best that we've seen so far as I know, in terms of performance.
All I know is I saw the Oculus Rift from CES.
What they would need to do though for those helmets is they would need to use some of those curved displays,
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be expensive as hell because otherwise you're not going to get peripheral vision. With this Room concept, you would have peripheral vision, which would be pretty nice.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyways, folks, it seems like a cooler idea than most of the ideas I've seen in the past couple of years. So
yeah, for sure.
Good on Microsoft. Nice to see them trying to do something new.
Yep.
That doesn't suck. Let's see. Next piece of news is that Minecraft sold just on Christmas. It sold 453,000 units. And also in 2012, I believe before the end of the year, the Xbox Live Arcade version of the game alone surpassed 5 million units sold. And in terms of the entire year, in 2012 alone, Minecraft did 15 million. 5.9 million on iOS and Android, which if you bought those versions, I don't know why you did. And 4.2 million on PC/Mac, and 5 million on 360. Now I want people to remember that it was out quite a while before the other two platforms on PC and Mac. So it's still the highest selling version is PC and Mac. But yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean just thinking about that number. That on Christmas number 453K. If you just think about that,
what game can be a couple years old and sell that much?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Like that's just nuts.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I should mention because the total sales for the PC and Mac version, have reached, according to because they have a live update on their website, it have reached 8,871,196.
Yeah, wow.
So it's about to hit 9 million on PC and Mac.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yep, that's a lot. Minecraft is a pretty big seller. I don't understand though why Mahjong was really on that top 5 of that list of developers.
Because Edge is a piece of shit. I mean
that's the one game. They made one more game, right? And they're making another game right now.
They're making 2 more games right now.
Those are okay. There's still 2 games in development. I thought there was one they already had released.
Yeah, Scrolls is the next one, and then there's some I don't know, Space Sim or whatever.
But how can a developer be one of the best developers, one of the top 5 developers, making only one game?
I thought that list was just for games in 2012.
No, dude. I'm pretty sure it's more recent. It's not supposed to be ever. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a more recent
Well,
list.
if it's supposed to be ever, then that list, give me a break. That list definitely goes as an
for
example
sure.
of anti-Sega bias.
Yeah. And
But I mean, like, because like there was no AM2, and the only Sega studio on the entire list was Creative Assembly at like 49th out of 50.
there was no Retro Studios on there.
Yeah, but Retro Studios, like, yeah, you're right.
But they've only made like 4 games. Well, 5 if you count Mario Kart 7, but that was a joint.
But I mean, I just don't understand the point of the list. Is it 2012 only, or is it?
It's definitely not. It can't be 2012 because Anarchy Reigns isn't that good, and Platinum Games is at number 3.
Yeah,
and Nintendo EAD has not made anything that great this year. They made new.
But then what is it? Is it can't be all time because
no, but it's got to be. They didn't define it well. It's got to be like within the past 5 years or something.
Even then, that's bullshit that Yakuza Studio didn't make it. I mean, that's bull.
Yeah, the whole. I thought the top 5 would have been decent.
Dude, Jagex made the list. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Do you know who Jagex is?
I don't even know who they are.
They did freaking RuneScape.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Jagex made the top 50, and they were the developers of RuneScape and Ace of Spades. and by the way, in that same issue, they gave Ace of Spades like a 4.
Well, a 5 on Edge standard is average, so a 4 is a little bit below average. So below average developer, below average game, makes sense to be on the top 50 list, right?
The whole list was discredited as soon as I saw Jagex. I was like, nope.
Yeah, people were saying that on the thread. It was like, this list is awful.
Well, it's just like they didn't even try. I mean, it was like, and if the list doesn't make any sense, so it's within the past 5 years, like, then where are a shit ton of developers still? I mean, where's Treasure? Why wasn't Treasure making the list? It's like, where was Yakuza Studio? Where was AM2? Where was? I mean, it just the whole list doesn't make any sense, even for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and like Jagex making the list for any period is kind of a joke. Like, I mean, there was one other developer where I saw it and I was like, what the fuck? Like,
I didn't really look too much in depth in it. Like, I looked at the top 5 and then I like skimmed it. But like I said, I thought the top 5 was okay, like, other than Mahjong.
Mojang was number 2.
I don't understand that at all.
Arcane Studios, who made Dishonored, was number 9.
Valve was number 1.
Which I can at least get Valve. I mean, they've made some of the best games ever. So it's
the top 5 was like Valve, Mojang, Platinum Games, Nintendo EAD, and who was number 5? I forgot.
Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog, yeah. The Naughty Dog makes great games too. So,
then there's 10 was Riot Games, who does League of Legends. 12 was Media Molecule. 11 was Epic Games.
Rockstar was in the top 10.
Rockstar North made 6th. Terry Kavanagh made number 22.
He's made like 2 games.
He's made like 2.
He's two well-known games at least.
Double Fine was 21. That Game Company was 23. 343 is 25th.
343, yeah. They've only made 1 game too, right?
Yeah. Red Link 33, Vlambeer 34. Codemasters was number 40, which is above, by the way, Creative Assembly. And Relic was 50th behind Jagex and WayForward, which is bullshit.
There's too many developers on that list that have only made like a couple games. Like, I think you have to at least make 4 or 5 games to be even considered.
Yeah, and there's no Polyphony Digital or
Polyphony,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's like Half Brick in 47th. I like, dude, I'm sorry. The Relic being in 50th behind Half Brick. Listen to the 3 people between Creative Assembly and Relic. Relic being the guys who do Dawn of War and Company Heroes. I don't give a shit what your stance is on RTS. They are better than these 3 at the very least. They are better than Half Brick. They are better than WayForward, and they are better than Jagex. I know WayForward makes some good games, but Relic
WayForward also
Relic,
makes some bad games. Like
WayForward makes a lot of bad games, even though they
Yeah.
make some good ones.
Yeah.
But my point is that Relic is regularly reported at the top of their genre. They are a world-class RTS developer.
And
They should not be
Halfbrick
sitting.
is an iOS or a mobile company.
This is just nuts. And Codemasters being above both Creative Assembly and Relic. Okay, let me get this straight. Okay, Relic's highest rated game of all time, I think, is 96.22% or something like that. It's Company of Heroes. It's the one of the highest rated games of all time. What game has Codemasters ever made that's anywhere near that?
I don't know. Like the only thing I can even think of that Codemasters has made that's really great recently are their racing games.
The list is bullshit. But anyways, it's a bullshit list. And
Yeah,
it just makes Edge look like a joke, frankly.
That wasn't even on our news list. We should have put that on there.
Yeah, it wasn't on our news list. So next piece of news is more success for PC sales here. And we got some sad news coming out after this. But Torchlight 2 sold 1 million units in 3 months. That's pretty good. And it's even better because the first game took 19 months to sell 1 million. And the first game, by the way, in those 19 months, it was on PC, Mac, and Xbox 360. Not for all of those 19 months, but for the last 5 months of those 19 months, it was on all three. Wasn't just on PC. And the number Torchlight 2 in those 3 months was only on PC, and it took less than a third of the amount of time. I originally wrote a third of the amount of the time because I didn't know exactly how many months it was. The first game had been out, but it's actually somewhere in the neighborhood. Let's see, that's like 1/8, right, or 1/7.
3 versus 19. Is that what you're saying?
No, excuse me, that's way off. It's 1/6 roughly. Anyways, point is, it's 1/6. It's between 1/6 and 1/7. So no, but so basically it took like 1/6 the amount of time for the second game to sell the same number of units.
Yep.
On 1/3 the platforms.
That's pretty good. I think any exclusive title selling 1 million should be a great number.
Well, and it's still got the Mac version. They're not doing a 360 version anymore. Because the first game did pretty poor. They spent all this time porting it to 360. And then they came out, and
there's no point in porting stuff to 360 now.
It just didn't sell. So
although we did talk about if your game's a success on like PC or something, that's when you should start to think about porting.
Yeah, but I mean, when in this case, when you have a game that was a success on PC and then they ported it over to 360 and it fails, I wouldn't bother the second time around because Microsoft's already hard enough to work with. So if the user base isn't going to financially give you a financial incentive, you shouldn't even bother.
Yeah, and you keep hearing about like these problems. Just recently, I forgot what game it was, but there's a certain game that's like a patch is like really it's been delayed because of size constraints and stuff like that. But on Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I'm just glad Torchlight 2 is selling well. I'm glad that it. A lot of people said that it was going to fail because it was coming out after Diablo 3, and then a lot of stuff happened with Diablo 3, and now Torchlight 2 has done really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a pretty big improvement to be coming out and selling the same number of units on 1/3 the platforms and 1/6 the time. So I think that's a pretty big improvement. So now we have some bad news, but it's also news that I called, and I'm pretty sure Nvidia agreed with. Sega should not be fucking around on mobile. And nobody else really should be either, unless that's all they do. I mean, these big companies though shouldn't. Basically, we have news that Jack Lumber, a game that Sega published on iOS for a developer under their Sega Alliance brand or whatever, which was supposed to be basically a publishing initiative they had where they would publish mobile games from independent developers. And in exchange for them being the publisher, they would have like a advertising campaign. So in exchange for, it wasn't just like, oh, we publish it and then get a cut of the profits and do nothing. It was that in exchange for a cut of the profits, we'll handle your advertising campaign. Mm-hmm. And so they did a big advertising campaign. And Alchemy Labs, the developers of the game, said that they are pretty happy with Sega, that the advertising campaign was good, but that the game just wasn't a financial success. So this is kind of what we've been really hearing a lot from iOS, that the games just don't really sell that great. I don't know. What do you think, Naveed?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about a bunch of failures on iOS. Like I said, every single podcast seems to be one.
Well, there seems to be one major social or mobile failure.
There's two in this one.
There's two in this one. So
Yeah.
get ready. Buckle in, folks, because Naveed's going to hit you with another.
Yeah, Zynga. Well, Zynga's been going downhill for a while now, but
Past few months, yeah.
yeah, they are getting ready to shut down. I think they did shut down.
11 games. Yeah, they already shut down.
They
11
did.
Games.
They've shut down 11 games. Their social games to basically just cut costs. And those games were Petville, Mafia Wars 2, Fishville, Vampire Wars, Treasure Island, Indiana Jones Adventure World, Mafia Wars Shakedown, Forestville, Montopia, Mojitomo, and World Scramble Challenge. So if you're a fan of any of those games, sorry for your loss.
And if you bought any items, you're shit out of luck.
Exactly. Oh, I did not even think about that. Oh man, that's.
Yep, that's
That
precisely what it
sucks.
means. If
Yeah.
you are invested, you're screwed.
But yeah, Zynga has been like falling, like we said. Their share prices went down 3.5% to $2.33 from its $10 IPO price a year ago. So not looking good for Zynga.
No.
Yep. So that's that. Next piece of news is more THQ news about their bankruptcy and everything. So basically, all their franchises are basically on auction.
Yeah, what happened was they tried to sell the entire company in one piece to Clear Lake, and then
Yes.
then a bunch of people who wanted to bid on the individual properties, including EA, Activision, Warner Brothers, essentially said in court that they wanted to bid on the individual properties, and then THQ's creditors said that they feel that that THQ could regain more of the money they invested into THQ if they sold the company piecemeal. And so the bankruptcy judge agreed, and so forced THQ to open up to other bidders besides Clear Lake, this company that wanted to buy the entire thing. Originally, I think Clear Lake's bid was $31 million.
And right now they're at like 60.
They doubled it, but they also are offering a line of $10 million to the company, which I think means that in total you have to look at that as $70 million. I'm not entirely sure, but basically, I think the total the only way at this point, because Clear Lake is trying to buy the entire company, whereas the other companies just want to buy individual IPs. So basically, the way that this would have to work for them to be able to force a piecemeal sale like this would be that the other publishers who are bidding on THQ would have to, their bids to buy all of the IPs that they want,
Or multiple.
They would have to add up. They would have to add up to over $70 million for the entire company not to sell out. And I find this kind of unlikely because the only things that EA and Warner Brothers and all these other publishers want really from THQ is Volition, maybe, and Saints Row, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's quite likely that THQ could actually remain in one piece because Clear Lake doubled their bid. So I'm hoping that I hope that's how it works out for them. I'm really hoping that THQ can remain in one piece. And if Clear Lake if Clear Lake's bid goes through, then we should be sitting pretty.
Yep. It would be really shitty if like some huge company like EA or Activision just like fucks everyone over and it's like we're gonna get we're gonna pick up Saints Row for $100 million.
Yeah, well, I mean, and you know what? It's like I hope that doesn't happen because they could just. I mean, worst case, if somebody wanted to outbid Clear Lake, because at this point, I mean, I don't think that if individual IP bids, I don't think those are going to amount to more than $61 million or whatever Clear Lake's bid is, precisely. So, I think that at this point it's quite likely that THQ could remain in one piece because there's no. I could see something like Saints Row selling for like 20 to 30 million. But after that, like I don't, and that's being liberal. But I mean, like after that, I don't really see anything else that would generate anywhere near that amount of money.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, next piece of news is depressing. End of an era. End of the best console of all time. Sony has officially ended PS2 production.
After 12 years. 12 and a half.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm depressed about it, actually, but that's how I feel about it. But, yeah.
I'm not really totally depressed because, like, PS2's already been kind of dead. Like, there hasn't been games being released for it or anything. But it just feels kind of awkward to know that no more PS2s are going to be manufactured and stuff.
Yeah. It's really kind of a shame that people quit making games for it. I think that the problem with the PS2, like versus like the PS1 where games and stuff kept on coming out for a while was
Even
I
like
think
Dreamcast is still coming out.
Well, I think that what kind of really hurt the slow trickle of PS2 releases was I think DD networks kind of, if people wanted to make a cheaper game, they could just go to DD, services rather than work on an older console.
And like, man, it's kind of hard to think of like just a console being in production for so long. Like the only other one that I don't know how long other consoles are really being manufactured for, but I know the Famicom was being manufactured till like 2003 in Japan, which is kind of crazy to think about even for that.
I think the SNES lasted until 2002 over there too.
Oh, wow. Man, it's kind of hard to think about that. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's not really surprising because I don't think they were particularly great sellers. I just think that Nintendo kept producing them because they, sold a respectable number each year.
Super Nintendo was discontinued the same time as Famicom, so
2003?
Yeah.
Well, anyways.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's that. Like Spencer said, end of an era.
Well, yeah, end of the 6th generation, which I would maintain was probably one of the best ones, so.
Sure. Yeah, and next piece of news is that PS3 seems to have overtaken 360 worldwide shipments or sales, whatever you want to call it, and it supposedly has reached 77 million during December, ahead of my Xbox 360's 76 million. We're not sure if that's actually like true, like after December, because I don't know. Did you say there was something that was reporting that maybe it wasn't true?
Well, we're hearing reports that it may or may not be true, but
it's close.
It's I honestly think that's I think it happened because PS3 has been catching up on 360 worldwide for quite a while.
And the 360 is only really selling a whole lot in North America.
Now. So yeah, I personally think it's true.
But I mean, in North America, the 360 is a monster right now.
Oh, it's unstoppable.
1.4 million in past December. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty stunning. But yeah.
Yep. So this is another
better console, though. Just to get that.
I think so. I think so too. Yeah.
But anyway, sorry.
That's definitely. Anyway, this is another pretty big piece of news, pretty much kind of out of nowhere. Nvidia during CES announced their
The Shield,
Captain America. They are going to release a handheld system. Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, CES they announced this along with the Tegra 4 chip, which is their next mobile processor for mobile systems, obviously. So this is actually, it seems kind of cool. It has a 5-inch screen that's multi-touch, and basically it runs Android. And so that means you're basically going to have all the Android games available to play on it. and it's basically a controller with a screen that flips out or upward. So it's like a regular PS2, PS3, 360 controller, something like that, with a screen on it like that you flip up. It's not like a Wii U where like the screen's in the middle or something. It flips out, and they have like 3 dedicated like types of stores or games that you can use. You can use the Android store, obviously, their own proprietary like Techer Zone thing. And then you can also use your PC with this system. So what you're going to be doing is, if your system has a Nvidia graphics card, and Spencer and I speculate that they're going to have some kind of like homebrew that will allow you to play it even if you don't have an Nvidia card.
Yeah, I personally think that, like, if the device is popular enough, I could see a homebrew community developing an alternative, stream casting technology for ATI cards or something like that to the handheld.
Basically, you're going to be streaming from your PC over Wi-Fi onto this system, kind of like exactly what the Wii U does with its games onto the controller. But with this, you can take it from your PC to the handheld, and you can also connect your handheld to the TV as a basically through HDMI cable. So that's really cool. You could play your PC games on the handheld or on the TV. So that'd be like this would be perfect for me, since I play a lot of handheld games. I would love to use something like this to play some of my PC games, but I don't have an Nvidia card, sadly, and I also think this might be kind of expensive. I don't see it really releasing for less than $300.
Well, a lot of people on NeoGAF were speculating like 150. It's not going to be 150.
No, Nvidia has come out and said the system will not sell for a loss either. So
yeah, so I mean, I'm hoping for like 200, but realistically, I'm thinking like 250 or 300.
And Nvidia, they don't have any software really, so they have to make a profit on hardware.
They do have they did develop they developed tech demos and stuff like that, but yeah, they did develop for like the Tegra 3. They developed some stupid little game that sucked ass.
I don't know.
I forget what it's called, but yeah, I don't follow mobile gaming, and it was a mobile GPU, so get off my balls.
Yeah. So it seems kind of cool. It's a very interesting thing, and it's coming out fairly soon. It's coming out in Q2 of this year. I just think it's a really poor time to be releasing a handheld system for. But like,
on the bright side, though, like I said, I mean, even if the thing fails, if you buy it and you're an early adopter, it's not like you really have to worry because the games are still going to come to it. I mean, because it runs Android. So
it's just like how many games are really going to be. I mean, I mean, it's not going to be a problem since you're also going to have your whole PC library.
And you're going to have your PC, you're going to have Android games. So, I mean, even if the thing sells 10 units, you're still going to have a shit ton of games to play.
That's true.
And any new games that come out will support it for quite a while because it runs Jelly Bean. So
the only problem on Android is that you're going to have to find games that actually... You can technically play everything since it does have the touchscreen, but if you want to play with the controller, you're going to have to find a game that actually
works with
makes use of a controller. And even if with that, it's like you can actually go out and buy it for your phones, like a controller add-on. So,
dude, there's tons of games that you can play on Android. You can play Final Fantasy 3. It's kind of crappy looking because it's just a straight DS port, and then it runs in like 4x3.
Dead Trigger.
Killer app.
Game. Yeah.
GTA 3. What a great
Vice
game.
Vice, is that only on iOS? Vice City.
No, I think Vice City's on Android too.
Yeah.
Now.
Max Payne.
There's Baldur's Gate.
The amazing Resident Evil 4.
So the joke here, people, is that not necessarily that these games are crap, but they're just all like 10 years old. But anyways,
and Resident Evil 4 is awful and I don't even know if it was released on Android. Actually, that might be iOS only. But the Resident Evil 4
probably. But I mean, if is it crappy because of the performance or crappy because?
Dude, it looks like shit. It looks awful. It's a really old release for iOS. Like it's a few years back.
Didn't they port MGS for a little while? Like, didn't they port MGS?
No, I'm pretty sure what that was kind of like one of those really simple tap shooters or whatever.
You know what would do well on iOS actually is Metal Gear Acid, probably.
Yeah, like the card game.
Yeah, I can see that working all right.
Sure, but yeah, like we're saying, it's kind of not.
I don't know about you, but I definitely want to spend $300 for my new GTA 3 machine.
Dude, I would spend $300 just to play some Dead Trigger.
And the best part is, you only have to spend $300 because the game is free.
Yup. You know why? Because it wasn't selling.
Because it was pirated to like
99. It was 99 cents.
It was.
I sent you a picture of Resident Evil 4 on iOS.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That looks awful.
Yeah.
It does look like it has co-op.
Yeah. I didn't notice that.
It's got co-op, but it looks like shit.
Yeah.
But it's got co-op. All right. So next piece of news is that Gabe says big company's gonna die. Basically, he's saying that large games corporations that are built on traditional production models will not remain relevant in the new age of gaming. He says that basically indies and like larger independent developers and stuff like that, and development teams will just kind of try to look into things like Kickstarter and stuff like that to make games outside of the traditional model. What I kind of think is that there's some validity to this, because what I'm seeing, I think, is with these big major corporations is they pay these CEOs, these people in charge of these big video game development companies, artificial wages in the United States. They pay them millions of dollars. And I mean, you look at somebody like Bobby Kotick. He dragged home, after the stock options he had at Activision one year, he dragged home $22.4 million, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough to develop an entire game.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you are letting people a single person take that much money out of the company, that's artificial. There's not a single person in this world that you can tell me is worth $22.4 million in a year.
Yeah.
There isn't. Stephen Hawking isn't. And he's probably the smartest fucking person on the planet right now. Okay? So you cannot tell me that there's that Bobby Kotick, who had a cameo role in Moneyball, is worth $22.4 million.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, that's what I've been trying to say, is like management at most companies is artificial, and it's being proven that it's artificial in video games, because what you're seeing is indies are selling as many units as the big guys now. I mean, you got Minecraft has longer legs than any Nintendo game or any Call of Duty. It keeps selling. It keeps selling. It keeps selling. You could not listen to me. Okay, the first time that you could buy Minecraft, I think, was in like fucking, if you bought it in the alpha, what was it, 2010, Naveed?
I don't even know if it was, yeah, probably, something like that.
It was, let's see, I'm going to look this up. I'm looking it up. I'm looking.
What do you, like, oh, the date?
Okay, so the game was first available in 2009 on PC. Okay? It has been 3 years, and on Christmas Day, 3 years after that game comes out, it sells 453,000 units.
Yeah.
There isn't a Nintendo game ever in the history of the company that's ever fucking done that. There's never been a game in the history of this industry that has done that. So, I mean, shit's changing. And the thing about it is that developers in this industry hold all the power, because they're the ones who make it. They make everything. You look at Minecraft, it was made by a single dude. Not now, but when it was first came out, it was just Notch. He did the graphics, he did everything. He did all of it himself. And that's what I'm talking about. These management types, these people coming out of business school who want to get into management, inflate their own self-importance, and then overpay themselves and expand management to some ridiculous degree. That's not going to work anymore in this industry, because the problem is that the artificiality of that is being exposed by basically the free market.
Yep. And I mean, companies aren't going to get away with releasing these same games over and over again over and again over time. Like you saw that with Guitar Hero after a while, and
well, and Call of Duty someday, it's come up, it will arrive. It can't just release the same sort of Call of Duty game every single year, Modern Combat, and then be off. It's gonna hit.
And then those like the price to develop those games is really high too. It's not like those games are fast and easy to
Well,
develop as far as price
to
goes.
get them out in a year, it takes like, I mean, because they do it on a yearly scale and then they switch developers, but I mean, they have a 2-year scale for those games, a 2-year time limit. And so I think that, I mean, when you're talking about a 2-year time limit, you're looking at employing between 300 and 600 developers.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, but basically what my point is that I think what Gabe is saying is that when you have these massive management structures that are artificially supported by other people's work, and then a new business model comes out that says, yeah, let's all make our own games without management, without these people siphoning money off at the top. We can bring down our prices, we can sell as many units, and still make more money than we would at those other companies. I think what he's basically saying is that I don't think that a lot of people are going to stick around in that model anymore. And I also think he's saying that basically, and I'm sure Gabe makes a fuck ton of money, and he can because he runs Steam or whatever. But Valve has a fuck ton of money. But it's like
their fucking headquarters are really nice too. So,
but I mean, at the same time, Valve also pays way above industry average for their programmers, for their artists. If you go on like Glassdoor, that website where you can see salaries from like people who have self-reported anonymously, like Valve programmers report that like an average of like 150 grand a year, which is like double the industry average for a game programmer. So, I mean, I've usually what I hear from the average of like game programmers like between 60 and 70 a year to be a game programmer, which is like already like 20 grand below the industry average to program anything else. So it's like I
did not know that.
Well, the average computer programmer in the United States makes $88 a year.
That's a lot.
So I mean, it's like, yeah, it's just no. I mean, I don't know. Point is that Bobby Kotick, like Brian Farrell, who runs THQ and ran it into the ground, all of those people are making artificial wages that they don't deserve to make, and they're assholes. Brian Farrell ruined THQ. He ruined it, and he never lost his job. Anybody else who would have made those decisions, anybody who would have approved, let's make 1.5 million copies of UDraw for Xbox 360 and PS3. Anybody who would have approved that would have fucking been fired.
That was like the shipment, like the first shipment, right?
Yeah, it was this first shipment, and it's like, I mean, it's just like, that's what I'm talking about. Is all these companies. You look at car companies, you look at any major corporation in America versus, and people say, oh, you need to pay this high to retain executives. That's not true, because you look at the United States, we pay our executives way higher than Germany, than Japan. I mean, how much does Iwata make?
Not a lot. Like
during the peak of Wii, he was making like what, $1 million a year?
Yeah, exactly. Like he
was making $1 million a year. Iwata, by the way, when he was sitting at the top of the DS, when he was sitting at the top of the Wii, when Nintendo was at the top of the world and they were raking in big fucking bucks, and on arguably the most successful video game company in the world, Iwata was bringing home $1 million a year.
He was in between $1 million and $2 million. I know that.
Yeah, and meanwhile, you had Bobby fucking Kotick dragging home a $22 million paycheck, the price to develop an entire fucking game, or run a huge advertising budget for an already existing project.
Yeah. And like you see like these companies that like non-US companies that like Iwata took like a pay cut or something. I don't think you'd see Bobby Kotick take a pay cut for
no. That's
even
what I'm saying.
if Activision was like
Brian Farrell, president, CEO of THQ. It's like he would never take a pay cut. I mean, he did eventually have to take a pay cut, I think, because their shareholders finally, he had such a low approval amongst them. But it's like he still gets to keep his job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anyways, I'm just saying that basically, if you look at it, here's, I mean, it's like, if you just look at CEO pay compared to what the average person within a company makes, you're going to see some problems. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
If you just like split up that $10 million in between all the staff, like $10 million of that $22 million, it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's artificial pay. I mean, that's all it can be. So when you have something that artificially exists within a free market system, eventually it pops. It's a bubble. And the problem is that in other industries you can't prove it's artificial. For example, if I want to start a car company and be the CEO, and I say I pay myself $150,000, $200,000 a year rather than $10 million a year, I can't start a car company because I don't have the capital to do that. But to start up a video game company, all you need is people who know how to program. You need artists, and the thing is that when you go work at a company like EA or something, you meet all those people. Right. And if you get laid off, then you just say, okay, well, let's go form our own indie studio. But I'm looking at a chart right now. I want people to hear this. Ratio of pay to CEO to average worker by country. Japan is 11-1. So for every single 1 yen that a Japanese worker makes, the CEO will make 11 yen.
That's in yen?
Well, this is it. I'm saying it's just the ratio. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. It'd be whatever currency.
Okay.
Because it's the average pay. Right. So okay, so like in Italy, it's 20 euros for a CEO, and in that time, the average worker makes €1. Okay, in the United States, for every single dollar the average person here makes, the average CEO makes $475.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
Definitely.
So, anyways, what's happening in the video game industry, in my opinion, is the artificiality of that pay is being demonstrated in some sectors of the industry, particularly in the PC space, in my view.
You also got to understand, like, 1 yen versus $1. Like,
one yen is like one yen is basically the equivalent of a penny.
Less. Yeah, so it's like even like once you get higher into that range, it becomes like even a smaller discrepancy.
Well, no. I'm saying like because I mean, I'm just saying like I mean it'd be basically the same as if you said like I guess I probably should have used 100 yen just so that it made more sense. But basically,
I get it. I understand. I guess.
Anyways, basically the ratio is basically in each respective currency. Maybe they were using the smallest amount, but it doesn't really matter because the ratio will always stay the same. If you make
yeah, you're right.
So yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I kind of agree with Gabe. I think shit's going wrong for the big publishers because they need to change their business model. And unfortunately, I don't think they're because the other thing that me and Nvidia regularly talk about is shit's changing in the video game industry. The market is going to shrink. I personally call it a grave recession or else a crash. He thinks it's just a decline. But basically, the thing that's going to the problem with these big companies is they don't historically companies this large don't react quickly enough to changes like this, and I think that's what we're going to see because. The market will shrink. Wii U is not lighting the charts on fire. 3DS is not lighting the charts on fire. It's underperforming by Nintendo's own admission in the European markets and in the United States. And Japan can't pick up the slack alone. And Wii U is, I would imagine, at this point, underperforming Nintendo's expectations too, because I think they want to sell 5.5 million of them by March. And right now, if you look at like where it's not looking like they're going to hit that target figure.
Probably around like total maybe 2.5 to 3 million right now. I don't think there's any way they're going to sell like 2 million consoles within the next 3 months.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's coming right out of the launch period and the holiday sales, and there's no new software to reinvigorate sales during that period. Point is, folks, basically, the market's going to recede, and the question is, can video game companies react quickly enough to that change? And I don't think that they really can. And because I mean, what they're doing right now is they're struggling to profit off of games that cost $20-30 million right now. And so what they need to do is they actually need to shrink those development costs. It's not a question of what they need to do. That's what they need to do. Period.
Yeah.
And they need to shrink those development costs. And
they need to shrink the development costs this generation.
They did, and they didn't do it. And so what's that tell us? That tells us that next generation, they're probably going to raise development costs. They're not going to shrink them, and the market is going to shrink.
Mm-hmm.
And if they raise the prices on games, chances are the market's going to shrink even further. So, because people aren't going to be willing to spend $70 or $80 on games without a significant used market. And since we're kind of moving away from a used market into DD, it's just not going to fly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Anyways, last piece of news. Gabe Newell on the Steam box. We got a bunch of stuff. He had an interview.
CES.
Yeah, this was at CES when they announced the first Steam box, which is being made by XI3 in partnership with Valve. But basically, Newell had an interview with The Verge, and they asked him a number of questions about whether or not, because there was previously reported that the Valve's own hardware would be tightly controlled. But basically, they're not really saying that that it's going to be tightly controlled in the sense that, like, like their partners are going to have restrictions or whatever. Basically, what they're saying, what Gabe says, is that the way we sort of think of it is sort of good, better, or best. So good are like these very low-cost streaming solutions that you're going to see us that are using Miracast or Grid. I think we're talking about in-home solutions where you've got low latency. Better is to have a dedicated CPU and GPU. That's the one that's going to be controlled. Not because our goal is to control it. It's been surprisingly difficult when we say to people, don't put an optical media drive in there. And they put an optical media drive in there, and you're like, that makes it harder, that makes it more expensive, and it makes the box bigger. Go ahead. You can always sell the box. So that's kind of what he's saying. He's not really saying that they're going to, that they're going to tightly control their partners, but what they want to do is they want to move away from things like the optical media drive because it'll raise the cost or raise, stuff like that. That's kind of what they're saying. But I mean, in terms of the streaming solution and stuff like that, it sounds like there's quite a bit more freedom. He did confirm that their own box is going to be Linux, which their partner's box is Linux as well. He also said that they're working on a biometric controller. Right. Well, he didn't say they're working on it, but he says that he thinks there's a lot of potential in it, which kind of infers that they're working on it. And what the hell is this?
It was on that thread.
Anyways. Yeah, Naveed just sent me something, but I liked what he said about this. He said, for The Verge asked, speaking of controllers, what kind of creative inputs are you working on? Valve has already confessed its dissatisfaction with existing controllers and the kinds of inputs available. Connect, motion. Gabe says, we've struggled for a long time to try to think of ways to use motion input, and we really haven't found any. Wii Sports is still kind of the pinnacle of that. We look at that, and for us at least, as a games developer, we can't see how it makes games fundamentally better. Dist! Boom! Nintendo, suck it.
Anyways. Well, the problem there is Wii Sports is not the pinnacle.
Oh God! Just quit your whining.
If it's Wii Sports, it's Wii Sports Resort. So
the stuff we're thinking of is kind of super boring stuff all around latency and precision. There's no magic there. Everybody understands when you say, "I want something that's more precise and less laggy." We think that. Unlike motion input, where we kind of struggle to come up with ideas, there's potential in biometrics. We have lots of ideas there. So yeah, and he says that you'll probably see controllers coming from them that use a lot of biometric data.
Yep.
And he says that they just don't see much potential in motion stuff, and I kind of agree with him on that. But yeah,
which is good, I think.
So yeah, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, well, when they announced this thing, like partnership thing, I thought they were going to make their own Steambox type thing.
Well, they are. They're making their own.
Oh, this is just like a partnership for now?
Well, they're going to have partners, but they're also making their own.
Oh.
You can buy whatever one you want, though.
That's weird. I didn't know that. I don't know.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. So I mean, I don't really have much to say on it because we don't know what Valve's box looks like or what they're.
And we don't even know that many specs about.
It's going to use big picture. So there you go. What we do supposedly know is that there's going to be ones that just stream the content to your TV, and then ones that actually just play the content. Yeah. So if you don't have like a PC or whatever, then you can just play the content on that box. But if you have a PC, then there's going to be like a streaming solution. And I'm much more interested in the streaming solution. I'm not sure about Naveed.
For me, you mean like connecting to like a TV
like
versus
on your own network, you would connect to your TV to your desktop and then play the game that way.
Oh yeah, no. I'd rather, just have streaming.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm thinking.
I don't know.
Anyways. Yeah.
Big
All
news.
right.
The big news at CES was really like all 4K TV stuff.
I think the Steam Box thing a lot of people freaked out about, but like
there was an 8K TV at CES. That kind of blows my mind. Why?
I don't really care too much. Like at this, I mean, past 1080p, I'm I mean, I get that there's a big difference, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
But
no,
like,
that's no.
in
I
terms of the
totally
cost,
feel.
like I'm not really
I
excited to
totally
replace
feel the same way.
my television and my monitor, and like I'm just like like at a certain point you're gonna have diminishing returns.
What
So
I'm
it's
just
like,
saying is like there's 1080p is not even a standard in television right now.
no, it's not. It's not even a standard. It's not even a standard. It's not a standard in television. It's not a standard
TV's
in
all
games. It's
all
not a
TV
standard
channels are
in,
like broadcast in 720p or 1080i. There's no like
Yep.
in cable at least. So
even broadcast television. I think over the digital airwaves is usually 1080i.
yeah, I don't know.
When I worked back at the local ABC affiliate as a broadcast engineer, it was we were broadcasting at 1080i.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Over the airwaves, and then once we switched to digital, we were still broadcasting at 1080i.
Yep. And then
So.
like I don't understand like. I mean, 4K is going to become a thing in the next few years, but I mean, yeah, I don't know.
But I just here's the deal. The other thing is that it doesn't really matter because next gen consoles will be lucky if they play 1080p games at 60 FPS. So it's like, I mean, it's just like it doesn't really matter because we're going to be stuck with the next gen consoles for probably about 7 years, like we were this time.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I mean, yeah. So it's just like I don't really care like that about 4K TV. And like in terms of PCs, like I'm actually
you're gonna have like a super rig to play anything.
You can play like if you have a 680 and stuff, you can play stuff like at 2560 by I think it's 1600 or whatever. But it's like.
Mm-hmm.
And you can play it rather well, but it's like I also think though that in the PC portion of the industry, so few developers are really pushing PC anymore that I don't see the point in having a high-end graphics card. I think a mid-tier graphics card is the way to go every single time you build a rig now.
Yeah. Especially like, you want to get something probably that like will match up well with consoles of next generation because that's what developers are going to be working with. Like they're going to be
well, and the other thing is that personally, my rule is I try to spend around 150 to 200 on my GPUs because if you buy top of the end, by that time next year, there's going to be a cheaper graphics card that's better, and you're going to be kicking yourself. Whereas like my GTX 460, like when I looked back at the first year after I bought it, it was already like a GPU that had been on the market for like a year, and they were only like 50. They were like less than $50 cheaper at that point, and it's still a good graphics card. It still plays everything at 1600 by 900 at like full speed. So it's like, I mean, with the exception of Witcher 2, but it's like that's a PC exclusive. So well, not a PC exclusive, but it was designed from the ground up to be on PC. So it's like any console port I play full speed. So
yep.
That's what
anyway
you're buckling in for, folks.
Yep.
Anyways, that was episode 19.
20 is coming up, so...
I was kind of sleepy, so sorry if I was boring tonight.
No, dude, yeah. I think you had pretty good insight.
Oh, yeah, insight.
Yeah.
Well, the audience agrees.
And by insight, I mean stupidity. So... Oh, yeah, there's the... All right. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.